Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. And my name is Desmond Storms. Today I'm going to teach you how to play drums. So if you're totally beginner, you're at the right place. Before we learn the drums, you do need a drum kit. I got mine here. But if you don't have a drum kit yet, do not worry, do not stress at all. You can always use your lap and your hand in your room or wherever you are, in your house, at your workplace, school, music school, or you have a drum but you can't play at a certain time. You can always use your hand and your lap. So enjoy. So guys, before we learn the drums, you need to know the parts of the drum kit. So this is the drum kit. Now let's get to the parts of the drum kit. As you can see, this is the hi-hat. The hi-hat, followed by the snare. This is the tom-tom. Normally there are two tom-toms, but I like usually to use one tom-tom. But you can use two tom-toms. This is the down, the floor tom-tom. And this is a cymbal. And of course, the bass drum. I shall repeat: the hi-hat, the snare drum, the tom-tom, the right cymbal, the down tom-tom, and you got your bass drum. Now that you know the parts of the drums, we can now learn the drums. So today we're going to do a topic called the 4-beat. Now the 4-beat is for totally beginners. When you start learning the drums, you start learning with the 4 beats. And the 4 beats, you only need 3 parts of the drum. These are the main parts of the drum kit that you're going to be using all the time when you're playing the drums. And this part is what we're going to use and focus on to learn the 4 beat. And the parts are the hi-hat, the snare, and the bass drum. Those are the main parts of the drum kit. So please do remember the hi-hat, the snare, and the bass drum. Now I'm going to show you how to sit behind the drums. So when you sit behind the drums, always to sit up straight and your snare in between your legs. Your hi-hat always next to the snare. When you kick, make sure your heel is up and then you kick with your toes like this. Push it with your toes. This is how to hold the sticks and put your, on the hi-hat, put your feet flat on the pedal. And now you're ready to drum. Now that we're done learning the parts of the drum kit, the main parts of the drum kit and how to position yourself behind the drums, we can now finally learn the 4 beats. And as you can see, I have drawn a chart or a table that will allow us to learn the 4 beat easier. Now, you have the hi-hat, the snare, and the bass drum. And as you can see, there are numbers on top of it that will help us to count whilst you are playing the drums. And it goes as the loop. Let me show you an example. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you can use this with the metronome or without a metronome. But I don't have a metronome, so I'm going to use without a metronome. But if you prefer to do with metronome, you have to put it on the 60 beats per second. So now we're going to start with the hi-hat. Now the hi-hat, you hit the hi-hat on every number. It goes like this. First, you can use your hand before going on the drums. Now, this is how it goes. Now, this is how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're gonna add the end in between. It goes like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And if you're still struggling, you can always play 1. You can always use 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So try that first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, before you start, make sure that your feet holds the drum like this, so that it closes before you hit the hi-hat with the sticks. Like I said, make sure your feet is flat down so that it will close the hi-hat. Now, let's try. Take one stick and hit 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's start with the end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now let's try with the end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now that we know the hi-hat, let's move to the bass drum. Now the bass drum, it goes on the 1 and the 3. Once you know that the hi-hat goes on 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the bass drum goes on 1 and 3. Let me demonstrate. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? And if you still struggle, you can first start with the 1. Let me demonstrate. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now those with the drum kits, let's move to the drum kit. So the bass kick goes on 1. First, you do the hi-hat. Now we're gonna play the bass kick and the hi-hat of the number 1. Like, you hear me? 1. You kick and the hi-hat at the same time. Hear that? So let's start. Now that we've got the bass drum on the 1, let's add the 3. So now you'll be going like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now we're gonna play the bass drum on 1 and the 3. So let me demonstrate. It's 1 and the 3. And make sure your heels are up. Toes press. And also, when you're playing, make sure you count out loud. Let's move to the snare. Snare is in the middle between the hi-hat and the bass drum. Now the snare is the opposite the bass drum. So let me demonstrate. And if you don't have drums at home and you want to use your hand as a snare, well, you have 2 ways for me. I always do it like this is my hi-hat and this is my snare on top. Or you sit down, you use your lap, use this as your hi-hat and this as a snare, whichever you want. But for now, I like to do standing. I like to use this as a snare. And the snare goes on. First, let's start the whole process with the bass drum and the hi-hat. It goes like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah? snare goes on the 2. Like I said, it's the opposite of the bass drum. So let's start with 2 and the 4. Let me demonstrate again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If it is too difficult and too confusing, you can always start with a 2 first. So the 2 goes like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now those who have drum kits, let's move to the drum kit. And remember, the snare goes on number 2 and 4, but let's start with number 2 first. We're going to play the hi-hat on the 2 and the 4. So let me demonstrate. And let me tell you, you see this box? When you see the 1, you see the X on the hi-hat, the X on the drum, it means at the same time, yeah? And when you see the X on the number 2 on the hi-hat and the snare at the same time, it means at the same time. Ta, ta, you know? Ta. So it goes like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And remember, use the metronome. I'm sorry, I don't have a metronome with me, but if you have, on the 60 per second, okay, beat per second, you go like cut, 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 and it goes like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now we're going to play the snare on the 2 and 4. And make sure that the hi-hat and the snare, when it comes to the 2, go at the same time. When it comes to the 4, goes at the same time. Let me demonstrate. And a bass kick as well. 1 and 3 and 4. See? So guys, this is the end result. we have come to our end of the video. Now you know the parts of the drum kit, the main parts of the drum kit, how to sit behind the drums, how to kick the bass drum, and how to hit the drums, and how to play the 4 beats. And I hope you keep practicing, practice at home, and you keep practicing. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please make sure you subscribe, like, and comment down below if I should do more or you have any questions. Thank you guys for watching.